Hi, I'm Dan Johnson. We're here at Sebring 2013, and we are on a mission to go around and talk to a number of different airplane companies and ask them about their experience with airplanes in flight schools. Because we found that some people have a misconception. There's been some reports, there's been some people with wrong mindsets about the fact that they think these are nice little airplanes, they just don't hold up in flight schools. We think that's wrong, and we're talking today with Darren Hart, the proprietor of American Legend Aircraft Company, and his Legend airplanes that have done very well in the U.S. market. And you just released some information recently, Darren, that said that you're doing flight schools. You got some new interest in flight schools on top of what you already had. What's that news about first, and then we'll go into some detail.
Well, thank you, Dan. Well, the record is that, you know, we've sold quite a few airplanes to flight schools. Just last year, we sold 3 airplanes to flight schools. We sold 2 to Pensacola, and they have a little flight school down there at Ferguson Field. And they're doing a lot of tail wheel transitioning and starting to do a lot of tail wheel training and stuff in their airplane. They have great success with their airplane. And we have a new flight school in Waco. But anyway, they're training in their airplane. I think they have about 100 hours on their airplane already. It's about 3 months old.
Wow.
So they're doing very well. And the best candidate I can tell you about is Bruce Bohannon, which everybody knows Bruce in the training market. He makes his living doing tail wheel training.
Famous air show guy, so yeah. We all know him from that kind of stuff, but he's also doing training. Huh?
And Bruce has about 2,100 hours on his Legend Cub.
Does he now? Okay.
Had no issues with the airplane. He has over 2,100 hours on the engine, never has pulled a cylinder. And in fact, he said he has over 20,000 landings.
Is that right?
Because you figure it, 2,000 hours, you do about 10 takeoff and landings in a Cub in about per hour. So he said he has 20,000 landings in his Legend Cub already.
Great. So that's just the kind of numbers we're looking for to say, look, first of all, why would you think an airplane wouldn't hold up? It's built the same way. It's built better, actually, but it's built essentially the same way as the old Piper Cubs that were often used, the J3s from that company, that were used in flight schools for years and years and years. Why would you look at this and go, well, this can't hold up just because it's a little lighter? That's just nonsense. And you've just now proved it. So let's do those numbers again. Bruce Bohannon, the famous air show guy, does the climb to altitude thing that a lot of people have read about, but he's doing flight school. 2,000, more than 2,000 hours on one airplane.
One airplane, yeah.
Okay. And an estimated 20,000 landings on that same airplane.
Yep.
How many parts have you sold?
Maybe 1 or 2 parts that I know about. In fact, I think he's still on his first set of tires on it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know, not that there's anything wrong with having to put some parts on, because a student that makes mistakes, the only way you learn, lands them hard, does some things, well, you fix them.
Yeah.
So let me ask you another question. Then there's 2 other areas we want to talk about. One of them is, you got a purchase price for the airplane, you put it in a flight school environment, you fly a bunch of hours on it, and then you sell it, and you go looking for another one to do the same thing again with. The purchase price and the sales price. What kind of differentials have you seen there?
We've known some owners that bought the airplane and actually made money on the airplane. And you don't ever see that anymore in aviation.
So. No, you don't.
So
it's a strong argument then we're using with some of the other airplanes we looked at, Darren, to say, well, yeah, you could go buy a 30-year-old 172 and put it in a flight school.
Yeah.
And yeah, you'll spend less for that just to make the purchase, but you're going to have quite a bit more maintenance because it's an old airplane. It's, you know, that happens with older airplanes. And you're going to spend 10 gallons an hour running that thing around the sky or thereabouts. And you're going to have an A&P work on it. You can't use an LSRM to work on it.
Yep.
And all those things would seem to add up. Is that your experience as well?
Yeah, that's very true. And of course, you know, we do about 3 or 4 old J3 restorations a year. And we do a very high-end, good restoration on the airplane, but a typical bill after a restoration is about $75,000.
Is that right?
So
whoa,
you're not too far from being a purchase of a new aircraft. Yeah. And then plus you get the electrical system. You don't have the Armstrong starter system and everything else. So, you know, there's a lot of advantages in buying, you know, new aircraft.
Not only that, but the differences that you've done, like with doors on both sides that you can't get on those older airplanes.
Yeah.
So
it's named Tweety, and and that was our first airplane that we built. It was built in 2005. So it's 8 years old now. It has about 1,100 hours on it now.
And like I said, we took some pictures of it. We couldn't tell that it
yeah,
was an 800-hour.
It looks like this one looks.
Yeah.
Even though it is that old. So again, you know, I think we're debunking the idea that these airplanes don't last. You can make an investment in a new light sport, and you're going to get real value for that. Yes, it's a little more to write on the check than the old, worn-out 172. But but you're going to get a lot more, and then you're going to sell it someday. And with the differentials we talked about, you're actually probably going to be even better off than with the old ones.
Yes, I agree with that. And I think you know, people just need to realize that, you know, there's a lot of advantages buying new aircraft, and things aren't worn out and stuff. And I just don't have any problems with them.
Well, we've been talking with Darren Hart from American Legend, and we haven't really focused on the airplane because we had this flight school mission here, and thanks for your good input on that. But for those that do want to know more about the airplane, where do we go on the web to find you? We'll put it up on the screen for them.
Well, what we do is it's very simple. It's American Legend Aircraft Company, and it's www.legend.aero, and the phone number is 903-885-7000. So it's an easy number to remember.
There you go, pretty easy. I've got information on the American Legend airplanes. I've flown them, got pilot reports and other information. You can find that on buydanjohnson.com or bydanjohnson.com. Thanks for joining us here at Sebring.